It seems that could be a hard bet for them. And depending on which way, voters lean, it's also possible this could cause changes in their strategies on how they deal with Trump. Look, on the point of whether Doge is doing something legal or not, though, by, cutting government spending and looking for waste, well, another video is now making its rounds. And this is pointing to the fact, folks, Doge, Elon Musk and so on, this whole department, it actually goes back to the Obama administration. The original agency was the United States Digital Service, and it was created in 2014 under Obama. And people are also noting that Obama may have created the legal precedents on what Doge is now doing. Watch.
Reform is not an option. It's a necessity.
The American people are entitled to transparency.
We can't sustain a system that bleeds billions of taxpayer dollars on programs that have outlived their usefulness or exist solely because of the power of politicians, lobbyists, or interest groups.
They're entitled to be able to figure out where their dollars are going, and they're entitled to accountability to make sure that we're using the dollars for what we said it was for.
We are going to go through our federal budget, as I promised during the campaign, page by page, line by line, eliminating those programs we don't need and insisting that those that we do need operate in a sensible, cost-effective way. What should be easy is getting rid of the pointless waste and stupid spending that doesn't benefit anybody.
We hope to be instilling an entire new culture that not only our administration, but every succeeding administration will in fact pursue.
No amount of waste is acceptable, not when it's your money.
Remember also, just as context, Biden was vice president under the Obama administration. But look, more on the policy that he and Obama had. This tied in with Obama's whole program to cut waste and to streamline the functions of government. And as another reminder, this is the IBM Center for the Business of Government back in June of 2011. Way back to 2011, folks. It said, quote, President Obama issued an executive order to cut waste and streamline government and reinforce the administration's performance and management reform efforts. He also appoints Vice President Sheriff Joe Biden in charge of this new campaign to cut waste. Does that sound familiar? Well, it says this, in an executive order titled, quote, Delivering an efficient, effective, and accountable government, the President, Barack Obama, appointed Vice President Joe Biden to head up the campaign to cut waste. And it says further in addition, it says the new EO executive order establishes a government accountability and transparency board modeled on the Recovery Act board, another thing he did, to provide strategic direction for enhancing the transparency of federal spending and advancing efforts to, quote, detect and remediate fraud, waste, and abuse in federal programs. It said this as well. Vice President Joe Biden addressed this latter portion of the effort in a briefing late Monday morning in 2011, and he said the new effort to cut waste will institutionalize the Recovery Act model of transparency to deter, not just detect, fraud using sophisticated tools to shine a light on fraud, waste, and abuse. Now, as a bit more on this, this is Barack Obama 13 years ago, talking about his campaign to use the office of the president on what he called, quote, the campaign to cut waste. Watch.
But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Everyone knows that getting rid of the deficit will require some tough decisions. And that includes cutting back on billions of dollars in programs that a lot of people care about. But what should be easy is getting rid of the pointless waste and stupid spending that doesn't benefit anybody. Waste we should be getting rid of, even if we didn't have a deficit. We're off to a good start. Over the last 2 years, we've pulled the plug on all kinds of ridiculous practices. Apparently, the government used to overnight containers filled with nothing. Don't ask why that is. Sure, some of these cuts aren't that big, but no amount of waste is acceptable. Not when it's your money. Not at a time when so many Americans are already cutting back. Just as families are living within their means, government should too. so we can invest in the things that we know will create good jobs and grow the economy.
Now look, this is all very interesting, and why? Look, this is basically what the Trump administration is now saying as well. The legal precedence for what Trump is doing was established by Obama. Now you could argue the scale is different, but on the legal side of it, it's basically the same thing. Now look, folks, in other news, another action we're now seeing from Trump is that he has moved to fire many inspectors general. People are crying foul over this. There are legal attempts to stop him from doing it. A judge has now declined to put a stop to it. The Epoch Times said this: a federal judge on February 14th